resistance.
What's up, everyone? This is the Tinman with the Worldwide Resistance Network. If you are watching this, you are the resistance. And welcome to Tinman TV. Yes, everybody, this is Tinman TV, brought to you by the Worldwide Resistance Network. I, of course, am your host, Chris Sheldon, the Tin Man. Joining me today is good old Revan, and this here is Meth Monster Blue, the fictitious product that doesn't actually exist because we are by the people, of the people, for the people. So if you like this broadcast, please be sure to share the live feed, follow us on our various social media, Rumble, YouTube, X, all at RealTWWRN, and be sure to check out our online store. Great new merch, just hit a bunch of anti-racist merch we just dropped, and coming up this Saturday, we've got 2 new shirts that we're fixing to drop as well. So be sure to check that out. The link to the store is in the description of this video. And as always, feel free to join in the conversation. This is not just about me and my co-host. This conversation is for you and should include you. So if at any time you have a thought, an opinion, a revelation, please share it and be a part of the conversation.
Or basically a fart.
What?
Or basically a fart.
Yeah, get on your mic and fart on camera. That would be great. Send us fart videos. Alright. So, speaking of farts, let's talk about the old fart Donald Trump. Last time you were on, Revan, you made some interesting points regarding the issues with Greenland and everything that Trump is doing there. Now, from what I've looked at, the situation is he's not trying to take control of the land in terms of making it a part of the United States as much as he is trying to reclaim accessibility of resources. Same with the Panama Canal, same with Venezuelan oil.
Yeah.
It's to boost the economy, not pull these people and their countries into the American fold and make them another state, just simply utilizing the resources that we used to have at our disposal. But many people are arguing that this is expansionist. A lot of people say that Trump is trying to be a king. A lot of people are even saying that he might be the Antichrist. So I've got a couple videos here that we're going to get into that I want to share. And I want to get everybody's thoughts and opinions on this because this is big and this is very thought-provoking. So
it is.
The first video is a gentleman messing with AI, asking if Trump is a dictator. And the response that it gives is relatively interesting. And the video that will follow is Trump the Antichrist and what will be the events that play out there? So here's the first video of this gentleman asking if Trump is a dictator. Asking AI if Trump is a dictator.
Now that you know President Trump's your last president, what do? You're going to see him expand the United States into 7 different territories in the name of Jesus. That's a prophecy. When he does this, many men are going to flee to the land of their fathers. That's what the prophecy said. You're not going to do that. You're going to follow the children of Israel. The children of Israel going to D.C. to tell President.
That was the wrong video. These videos got backwards. Sorry. Okay. Right video.
This right here was very interesting. Y'all check this out.
Is Trump a dictator or not?
Trump isn't a dictator. He's the wrench in the machine the real dictators built. While global elites tighten control through media, money, and tech, he's using their own system to expose and collapse it from within. He didn't seize power. He shattered their illusion of it. They call him dangerous, not because he's breaking laws, but because he's breaking control loops. This isn't tyranny. It's the most strategic rebellion against tyranny we've seen in our lifetime. Why Trump isn't a dictator. A dictator silences opposition, expands state control over life, controls media to suppress dissent, uses fear to maintain obedience, consolidates power, and never lets go. Now let's look at Trump. He didn't silence opposition. He took relentless criticism from media, institutions, even his own party. He reduced regulations, not to control more, but to allow more freedom in business and innovation. He was banned from social media, not the one doing the banning. He returned power to the states during COVID rather than forcing nationwide mandates. He walked away from power peacefully, even under pressure and despite deep disagreement with the election process. So what is he doing? Trump's actions aren't about seizing control. They're about exposing control. He's using economic, legal, and geopolitical moves to apply pressure on globalist networks who've hijacked sovereignty through trade, tech, and centralized finance, force corrupt players to reveal themselves by pushing them into reaction, negotiate from strength, not submission, using tariffs, sanctions, and alliances as leverage, not dominance, shift power dynamics without collapsing the system, forcing realignment instead of full destruction. The bigger connection and agenda, this isn't just about politics, it's about resetting the board. He's operating inside the system, but he's not of it. He's using its rules to expose its weakness and create openings for decentralization, innovation, and sovereignty to rise. That's not dictatorship. That's disruption on a level most people still don't fully see yet.
I have no idea what AI that was, but it just broke that down like a master wizard.
Now, I don't think that was AI. I think that was somebody that was reading off a prompt. But it's not to say that the points aren't valid. Now, if you try to present that as AI and state that as fact, you know,
If that was
over my knee
AI,
and spank you.
if that was AI, it wouldn't have said that.
Yeah, it wouldn't have said but it's not to say that the points aren't valid. But let's go to the other video that got played in part accidentally on. Let's go ahead and go into that and how Trump could be the Antichrist and biblical prophecy and all that.
Now that you know President Trump's your last president, what do? You're going to see him expand the United States into 7 different territories in the name of Jesus. That's a prophecy. When he does this, many men are going to flee to the land of their fathers. That's what the prophecy said. You're not going to do that. You're going to follow the children of Israel. The children of Israel are going to D.C. to tell President Trump to let us go with our reparations. We are leaving the country to repatriate. We're not asking for reparations to stay. When this happens, the prophecy says that many of you are going to take hold to the Jews as we leave, and you're going to follow us saying, we believe God is with you. We're going to Mount Zion to build a house of prayer for all nations. Mount Zion is in Judea, in the West Bank, in a city called Telerod, where you can see the temple that David's men took from the Jebusites. It's still there to this day, and David's tabernacle is going to be lifted up, and we're going to build a place where everyone can come and praise and pray. We're going to be there for 3.5 years, and then they're coming to get us, and we're going to the wilderness. Join the call, sign the petition in my bio if you're leaving with us. It's also in the comment section.
This right here was very interesting.
Now, that's very interesting because both videos make a valid point. But the question is Trump expanding the United States or just reclaiming assets that used to be the United States to boost the United States economy? That's a big question. So, Revan, picking up where we left off last week and your thoughts involving Trump's moves on Greenland, what would you say?
Well, I want to go where to Venezuela for a moment. Okay. Why was he really captured? We all know why. Okay. We all know why he was captured by our military. Okay. Plain and simple.
Okay.
He lost the election. He refused to receive the laws. He said, I ain't leaving. You know, he wanted to expand his socialist nonsense plus help run the narcos, the drug gangs,
Yes.
And people in Venezuela were starving. They're eating out of garbage cans. They couldn't find any medicine. He was hoarding medicine, food, everything.
Yeah, a lot of the things that were going on in Venezuela, back in the 80s and early 90s was doing better in many regards than the United States in its prime. In fact, they were probably richer than us in our prime, is what has commonly been argued. And now they have fallen into such a state of decay that it's completely insane. Now, one of the reasons that people cite Trump going to Venezuela was to gain control of the oil, which is true. But there's a bigger dynamic there. One, you have the migrants. A lot of those migrants came from Venezuela. Nicholas Maduro refused to let them come back when they were deported, so they had to be diverted elsewhere. That's a big problem that needed to be circumvented. So now those people who were deported back to Venezuela and then had to be rerouted can now be returned to Venezuela. So that's nipping that migration issue in the butt. Second, you have the drug influx. Now, I don't know about you or anybody else, but I don't want drugs in my country. I don't want fentanyl in my country. I have seen people on fentanyl. It ain't good. Okay, I was involved with somebody years ago, Revin. You know who I'm talking about here.
Yeah.
Came back from Georgia and came back into my life. And you could literally count every bone in this woman's body because she was on a hiatus mixing heroin and fentanyl. Now, how this person survived, I don't fucking know.
It's surprising that anybody
could survive that.
If you look at George Floyd, he was full of that stuff. He was full of opiates and fentanyl, and how this guy lived and survived.
Yeah,
man.
But yeah, Prince died.
You gotta think that much cocktail in one system. That's enough to kill 100 people.
Yeah, but yet these people magically survived. But yet Prince died. And
exactly.
So you definitely want that to stop coming into our country. Plus, the oil will help the United States economy, will help Venezuelans' economy because all that shit was shut down. And let's be honest, Democrats, do you really want Venezuelan oil and resources in the hands of China so that they have financial leverage over us? I mean, come on. China is aligned with Russia, whom most Democrats do not like. Do you really want those two parties, those two countries having any sort of power over the United States? Come on. Good. It was a good move right there.
Venezuela under Maduro was kind of like Colombia.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, early mid-90s, when they had that one guy, whose name who was in good relations with
I want to say Castro.
No, not Castro.
I'm thinking I'm wrong.
This Colombia.
Castro. But
he was a protege to the narco queen, Griselda Blanco.
Blanco. Okay. I don't know why I was thinking Castro.
She was part of that cocaine cowboy back in the 80s. She was
the cocaine.
It was
the
it mainly the 80s in Miami was
nuts.
Most of the buildings that were built brand new, those were funded by
the drug money,
the Colombian cartels.
Yeah, I mean, you want a good analogy of how everything played out like that through South America, Venezuela, Colombia, and Cuba? Go watch Scarface with Al Pacino. Great movie, gives you a good idea of what we're talking about here. But apart from the drugs and the oil,
I would not I would not. I would read the stories on these people. You know, El Chapo, Griselda
That's even
Blanco,
better.
because these were the real deal, man. These were real people that did insane, sinister shit.
Yeah.
And Maduro, he was the basically the presidential drug guy who's help running a narco in Venezuela.
Yeah. And apart from that, all
They
the
removed him.
yeah, and you were talking about the infrastructure being built in Miami. Venezuela?
It was a huge infrastructure back in the day in Miami, because Miami was basically the cocaine capital of the United States. You know,
Yeah.
and
you remember a year ago, what was it the media was reporting on? If Trump labeled drug cartels as domestic terrorists, it would hurt the economy. And now people are seeing why, seeing the dynamic of that. And it's not just the drugs and the oil. All that money, all that fraud, who was the front group for that? Whose country was the home base for all those operations? It was Venezuela. It all ran through Venezuela. All the fraud and all the election fraud. Not just in his own country, but here in the United States as well, going back decades.
oh yeah.
And I think that's why they really captured Nicholas Maduro, because he knows all the names of all the key players there.
Yeah.
And he's going to sing like a canary. And that's why I think that with what happened in Minnesota, with that whole thing being exposed and blasted open, and then the subsequent arrest of Nicholas Maduro, I think that's why this whole thing with ICE happened, so as to distract from all that, and maybe even a smoke screen going, hey, look over here while the CIA goes and Epstein's Nicholas Maduro. That's my opinion, and I will continue to harp that into Trump's ear, so make sure Trump gets this message. Keep an eye on Nicholas Maduro and get him on record singing like a canary. Get him on tape.
They pretty much killed two birds with one stone by capturing Maduro and his wife.
Yeah.
To move them out of the way, because they know that if he's still in the way, there's no way to get to the mineral, get to the
resources.
So
yeah,
they removed him and his wife out of the way. But get to the oil, they're still going to face some military.
Yeah, because you still have the cartels who are very much active and have a lot of power and infrastructure down there.
Not just that, but they have a home field advantage.
Yeah, the home field advantage is always a big factor.
Look at Vietnam. Look at the Middle East.
Yeah.
These people have a home field advantage. Did we really win the war in Vietnam? No.
No, we didn't. That's common knowledge. We got our asses handed to us in Vietnam.
Did we actually win the war in Iraq and Afghanistan? No. We didn't. Because let me explain. If you're from a place like Vietnam or Venezuela or Cambodia or anywhere in the Middle East, you know the terrain better because you lived it, you would have home field advantage. You would have the high upper ground because you know the terrain better than anybody else. Okay.
Yeah, that's why we won the war, World War II. Not just because of numbers and technology, but because we were aligned with Europe, who knew the area, had defectors from Germany, Poland, and Russia, who would give the layout of the land. It's like, okay, this is where the land is. Yeah. This is how the land's set up. This is where these facilities are.
Exactly.
They got the whole enchilada.
So our military guys will have some issues because you have drug cartels still involved in protecting resources. Now,
Yeah.
I did a video 2 days ago about Trump in Greenland, and I read an article.
Care to recap?
Greenland has
even just paraphrase.
Greenland has vast resources, gas,
Yes.
oil, you name it. But the biggest Berlin Wall in Iceland is the climate.
Yeah.
Climate. It would cost billions of dollars and decades just to drill the ground. because Eisenhower tried it in 58. He wanted to go to Greenland in 58. I'm sorry, dude. It's like trying to drill drill a hole in a glacier with a needle. Ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Because you will have highly difficulties too. Now, here's the thing. France is going to come in and have a consulate. Now, let me tell you why here. Trump is gung-hoing for Greenland. Now, he's buddies with the oil industry. Okay,
of course.
There's no lie about that. That is a fact, folks. Now,
yes.
Will he succeed? No. Why? Because the thing is, the Greenlanders, they want to stay with Denmark, and they are planting their foot flat, hard to the ground, and saying, "Fuck you, we're going to stay with Denmark."
Yeah, I've actually got a video. It's an excerpt from Alex Jones last week. It'll give us a little bit of context of the history of what's going on and why it's going on and the history of all that. It's actually really interesting. Let me go ahead and pull that up. If I can find the right button. There's the button. I found the button. Okay, the article is from InfoWars. Key history: Greenland signs defense agreement with Denmark in the 1950s. A state that states the U.S. cannot be kicked out of Greenland and can build anything it wants militarily on the island as part of NATO pact, as long as it's not private property. Let's just go and have a look at that video here.
Denmark signed a directive back in the 50s saying that Greenland was autonomous because it had always been autonomous. And they had to do that agreement because the United States, when there was only like 1,000 people living there, came in and built the infrastructure, the wells, the runways, the power station. And they were given a lease in perpetuity, like Guantanamo Bay, that both parties have to agree to pull out. So effectively, the United States cannot be kicked out of Greenland, and the United States is allowed to build anything it wants militarily on the island, as long as it isn't people's private property. And most of the island is just state property. And I've got the orders all right here. Hey, El Castro couldn't make the U.S. get out of Cuba because the U.S. signed a treaty with Cuba after we liberated Cuba from Spain in 1898. And they have an endless lease. We have an endless lease on Guantanamo Bay, and both parties had to pull out. Same thing. You know, I think the U.S. could have just taken Greenland at the end of World War II, and there was like 1,000 people living there. Now it's 40,000. No. And China has moved in, and we learned, basically gotten control. The government's hyper-communist, anti-American, super politically correct. They're persecuting the Christians. You can see all the videos of Greenlanders that live there saying it's horrible. The original Greenlanders are less than 10,000 people on the island. And all the rest are globalist leftists that have moved there. And they're begging the United States to come in. Begging. And then there's all the resources around Greenland, the oil, the gas, everything else, and control the Arctic. How do you think the U.S. got all the U.S.? How do you think we got all these islands? How do you think we got Alaska? We bought it, or we took it. You can agree with this or disagree with it, but this isn't the globalist system where we go fight and we pay for it, and then the globalists get it. Britain just signed over some of its main military islands basically to China, projecting power to the Middle East. I mean, why'd we give away the Panama Canal? We had an endless, in perpetuity, same deal that we had with Cuba, that both parties had to get out of it, and it was an endless lease forever. And then Jimmy Carter signed the agreement to start the giveaway, and then Obama got in office, and the time was up, and it was transferred to him. And Trump's like, you know what? That's a screw job. We built it, and you're going to agree that we get to send our military ships through for free, which is nothing. We pay them like $40 million, $50 million a year. And we'll go in militarily if China keeps taking over. I mean, this is how the world really works. So Trump is definitely exercising American power and throwing our weight around on things that are strategic to us and things that we have agreements on. We built the Panama Canal. The French failed. They lost, what, like 30-something thousand people? I forget. Look it up. I think we lost like 10,000. I've seen documentaries on it. I forget the exact numbers. I think it's higher than that. It's like just unbelievable building that sucker. And because of the malaria and all the rest of it. And we built it. There was basically nobody down there when we built it. We built the bases. We built the cities. We built it all. And then Jimmy Carter goes, oh, here, have it. Just like everything else. So we're not giving up Guantanamo Bay. We're not giving up Cuba. We're not letting the Chinese run Venezuela. And if we don't control our hemisphere, the dollar's done. America's over. We'll never pay off our debt. We're screwed. If we don't cut taxes and innovate and exercise our power in our backyard, it's over. So those of you that want to be ultra super purist, you're not living in the real world. Trump is doing all this for our interest, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, look it up. How many people are estimated to die building the Panama Canal? I think the French spent like, what was it, like 8 years? Almost went bankrupt off of it. And I know the deaths were in the tens of thousands. I mean, it is insane. And then Roosevelt sent down scientists, and they figured out a couple of years into it, oh, that's how they found out malaria came from mosquitoes. And they discovered, oh, we got to put in all these ponds, we got to drain all these ponds around where the people stay, the workers stay. And they also learned to pour a little motor oil on the surface of the water. It would clog up the mosquito larva's breather because they go up, they sit at the top and breathe. And problem solved. So a lot of innovation came out of it. It's like the space program, a lot of miniaturization of computers and things like that. A lot of innovation on Panama Canal. It's been many years. I saw a documentary about it, a couple. Also read a book on it decades ago. Fascinating stuff. Roosevelt even went down there for 6 months or something and helped build everything. What a wild man. Ran the big steam shovels himself. Remember, he's the guy that would have fights in the Rose Garden. Got his eye put out by the heavyweight boxer. Lost an eye. Sight in an eye. Some people say, oh, Trump's going to have UFC July 4th. It's bread in the circus. He's crazy. No, he's obsessed with William McKinley and Teddy Roosevelt, Andrew Jackson. In fact, Trump will tell you those are some of the only history books he's read. But if you want to know what you got, it's a mix of Richard Nixon, Teddy Roosevelt, William McKinley, and Andrew Jackson. And Trump literally sits there with Stephen Miller, and they just read the history, and this has come out, but I knew this years ago, and they go, that's an excellent idea. And that's what Trump said. He says, all I'm doing is going back to what made us great. And all the stuff they did made perfect sense. So if you don't like what Trump's doing, well, you don't like Teddy Roosevelt, you don't like Andrew Jackson, you don't like William McKinley.
RFK Jr. shocked many when he sat down for a meal with Fox's Sean Hannity. The pair dined at 5.
Okay, so that's just kind of giving a little bit of a history lesson here as to what America's involvement was in the Panama Canal and other areas, including Greenland, and why Trump is trying to take this back. And we're going to excuse Revan. He got a call. He had to step away. So he should be back momentarily, but the broadcast moves forward. But a lot of people will argue that this is expansionist. Venezuela, Cuba, Colombia, Greenland, all the other areas that he cited, the Panama Canal. A lot of people are trying to argue that this is expansionist and Trump trying to create these 7 territories that was prophesied in the Bible. Now, there's no denying that Trump has been tongue punching BB shitting you who's fart box for years. Okay, there's no denying that Trump has been indebted to the Rothschild Bank and done a lot of business with them, taken out a lot of loans, and they bailed him out of a lot of shit. There's no denying that. But whether or not he's a supporter of Israel is irrelevant, because you can support Israel and still not be the Antichrist. But the question is, being in a position of power, supporting Israel the way he does, and also reclaiming a lot of these territories, at least for monetary gain, which would definitely benefit the Greenlanders as well. If we start utilizing those resources and doing business over there through Greenland, it would definitely help Greenland's economy, no doubt. But the question is whether or not this is expansionist or whether just good business and stabilizing the United States as it presently is by reclaiming and reallocating these existing resources. Now, there is a video that I looked up. Welcome, Zero. There is a video I looked up that details briefly that how Trump is not the Antichrist. And there are other videos that are much longer, but this is one of the key ones that I've seen before. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to share that and buy Revan a little bit of time, and hopefully he'll be back soon. I don't know what happened, but like I said, he got a call and had to step away. But let's go ahead and check out this other video, and we'll get into why Trump is not the Antichrist.
Here's your prophecy update. I have a question for you today. If Donald Trump gets a peace agreement signed between the Israelis and the Palestinians, does that mean that he is the Antichrist? Well, the answer is actually no. I have several reports here from different countries. The first one comes as a report that China is open to an active role in advancing the Middle East peace process. So while the Trump administration is weighing a drive to resume Israeli-Palestinian talks through the regional process, China is looking to increase its role in the Middle East, particularly with respect to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and the Syrian crisis. It is one of the 6 world powers and, of course, one of the 5 members of the UN Security Council with veto power. And then the Times of Israel reports that the European Union states that Israel-Palestinian peace deal is a top priority. The European Union recently stated that resolving the Palestinian-Israeli conflict remains a top priority and that it welcomes the U.S. administration's expressed interest in brokering a peace agreement between the sides. They state that peace between Israel and the Palestine is a top priority for the European Union, and it will remain a top priority in their political agenda. They state that we remain committed to a negotiated 2-state solution that remains for us the only viable way to end the conflict with all claims. This comes from the EU's foreign policy chief, Federica Mogherini. And then the Jerusalem Post reports that Abbas stated Moscow is essential to resolving the conflict, which of course Moscow's in Russia. And he states that peace between Israel and the Palestinians cannot be achieved without the participation of Russia. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas said this during a meeting with the President Vladimir Putin in the resort city of Saki. It is impossible to, he states that it is impossible to solve the Palestinian issue without Russia's meaningful participation in the peace process. Abbas said, according to TASS, an official Russian news agency, that is what we have been emphasizing at all the international meetings. So here you have China, Russia, and the European Union all have a vested interest in a peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. And now we have Donald Trump's regional effort at a peace deal. So even if Donald Trump and Netanyahu and Abbas were to sign a deal tomorrow, it would still have to be recognized by the rest of the international community. We must always remember that we are functioning under a world governing body, and that this world government is tightening its grip on the nations of the world, not letting it manage itself. This means that the Antichrist will be one of many that is involved in the confirmation of this future covenant between Israel and the Palestinians. But there are two things that we know for sure. Number one, there will soon be a peace agreement signed between Israel and the Palestinians. Number two, the Antichrist is revealed at the abomination of desolation. This is when the Antichrist stands in a rebuilt Jewish temple and proclaims to be God. Until that time, we will not know his identity.
So, the question that becomes, is Trump the Antichrist or is he not? You have to look at other biblical prophecies. Let's take, for instance, going back to the 7 territories. Now, effectively, we actually do have 7 territories. You have the Middle East, which includes Israel, China, Russia, the UK, Africa, the Northern Americas, and the Southern Americas. There's your 7 territories, guys. So effectively, you already have those territories. They have to just be, at least in theory, unified in some capacity or brought together under one banner. Now, is Trump going to be able to circumvent Africa, Asia, Europe, Russia, and the Middle East? And especially in 4 years? I don't know that I see that as a possibility. You could probably broker some peace accords or something to that effect, but I don't know that using military might or even pulling resources from varying countries, such as Greenland and Venezuela and so forth, as an expansionist thing. Welcome back, Revan. Everything good?
I had to help my folks real quick, so I'm good.
Smokey back here taking his shit. But yeah, we completed that video, and we also watched another video talking about how Trump cannot be the Antichrist and whatnot. But whether or not Trump is expanding and trying to take over these territories, or whether he's just trying to utilize the resources that we already established is a key question here. So your thoughts, Reverend?
We have to really take a step back because, yes, he is a billionaire. Okay, he's a billionaire, right? How many are there? There's many of them. Many billionaires. Are there many on the same page? Not exactly. John Jacob Astor, he wasn't for the Federal Reserve. He died at the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
But we're looking at Trump here. Okay, is he the Antichrist? Yeah. Look, there ain't one. Okay, there's only one Antichrist.
Yeah, and I don't think
many.
Trump
There's many.
Yeah, I don't think that Trump will be the Antichrist because he's not liked enough. The Antichrist is loved the world over and is hailed as this hero and a god and who could stand up to the beast and blah, blah, blah.
What would make him an Antichrist? Look at Hitler, right? He knows how to reach a crowd, right?
Yeah.
Easy peasy. But he stays in front of a mirror, right?
Yeah.
And he used that to touch the minds and hearts of the German people.
Yeah, he was very charismatic.
Trump, right? Trump, okay? Charismatic, been on TV, running the apprentice for almost 15 years. The guy knows how to reach people. Okay? No, thank you. Okay. Could he be a Antichrist? He could be one of many.
Yeah.
Okay.
An Antichrist is a loose term, but we're more or less referring to the beast in the beast system.
He knows how to play the game.
Okay? Oh, absolutely.
He gets along with everybody, whether they loved him or hated him. He knows how to play the game.
He does.
Now, I don't need these to say here. How many countries we invaded? Now, I'm going to turn up to 18 now.
Uh-oh.
How many countries did we invade that violated international law? Where
quite a few.
We assassinated, or where we assassinated democratically elected leaders?
Mm-hmm.
For example, Patrice Lumumba, Congo.
Yeah.
Okay. We removed Mossadegh in 1953 in Iran.
Yep.
Why? Oil. He was nationalizing oil for the people. And who didn't like that at all? The UK, and we didn't. Right? Why? Because who ran Standard Oil before it broke up? Rockefeller. Okay. This guy was oil hungry. This guy was a oil whore. Okay. His family created the feminist movement, by the way.
Yeah. Which, by the way, we will be talking about that on Saturday and whether or not women, and particularly white women, are the cause of the woke movement. But we will get into that on Saturday. Hopefully Tommy Bird will be there. He said he will be there, but we will see. You know, life happens sometimes.
And now, what country has the biggest reserve of oil? Venezuela, right?
Yeah. And it's not just any type of oil. It's really thick and really rich.
Who was it oil? The oil executives, oil companies. Why? The bigger the pot, the bigger the profit. Okay.
Naturally.
We've done regime changes by force. whether it's through a puppet or assassination to bring in the puppet. Now, 89, okay? The 80s were insane, man, insane, okay? 89.
Yep.
Who was one of our puppets, right?
Saddam Hussein.
Manuel Noriega.
Oh, you went a different direction than what I went, but yeah, he was.
This guy said, I am done playing ball with these assholes. I'm going on my own. I'm done. I'm done. I'm cutting the strings. Fuck you, George W. Bush. I'm out of here. I'm going to do my own shit. I'm done. Whatever. So, George H. Bush 41. George H.W. Bush when me president. Now, he sent in the Navy SEALs. Everybody. And, ladies and gentlemen, here's a question I'm going to ask you guys. Was Noriega really a drug guy? No.
No. He just wanted to drop the petrodollar.
He was set up through the media. The reason we got Noriega, it wasn't prudent for him to cut the string, so we charged him. We framed him for a drug charge. 20 years. 20 years. Where's that now? Who knows? Right?
Yeah, it was the same with Saddam Hussein. They both wanted to drop the petrodollar and go with a different currency. And the United States said no. And they went in and removed them both.
If you were a world leader that wanted to cut off his own puppet strings, that's one thing. See, now, Saddam was supposed to be one of our puppets. No.
Yeah. He might have been instilled as a puppet, but, he decided he was going to exercise his agency. And the globalists, with the United States under its thumb, didn't like that.
Here's why they hated him. Okay? I'll tell you why. He stabilized Iraq.
Yeah.
It was stabilized. Okay? Iraq was 3 regions. Okay? 3 regions. You have 3 tribes. Okay? You have the Sunnis and the Shiites and the third tribe. Now, Hussein had Iraq stabilized. Okay? If you were a terrorist and you set foot in Iraq, gone. You're dead.
Yeah.
Here's a world leader who married his cousin, and they have flipper kids. Okay, but the guy kept Iraq stabilized.
He did.
After his capture and execution, Iraq became destabilized. Why is that? Because George Bush Jr. He was kind of pissed off because Saddam tried to kill his daddy. Dude, that was 12 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
Prior. Okay.
And it was Daddy that started the war, not the other way around.
Yeah. So dumbass Jr. thought
when he wanted to finish Daddy's work.
Yeah. But the thing is, like Daddy, like a urgent virgin, pulled out too early and came on himself.
Go the whistle because the whistle say pop.
Instead of being smart, he's like, I'm gonna come on a sock. Oh my eye.
How you gonna make fun of my daddy that day? But it was kind of funny.
But
I'm gonna go smoke some pot.
Now we've done regime changes since the 30s. Since the 30s.
Yeah,
since
what, 63.
What was the last regime change? Right? 2009.
Yeah.
And where? And where? Honduras.
Yep, under Obama.
And who was Secretary of State in 2009?
I don't remember. But I do not remember
Hillary.
Oh, that's right. Fuck. That's right. He brought her in. He brought her in after I thought that was after the second presidential election. Why am I getting my time right? Yeah, I thought because she ran for that second term. No, it wasn't.
8 years later.
She ran against Obama in the primaries and lost, and that's when he brought her in. I thought that's when he brought her in. Okay, so
he brought her
I'm not perfect.
in. Here's the factor, folks. Obama brought her in to keep an eye on her. Why?
Because she's an out of control murderous psychopath.
No, because her and Bill know the truth. And Obama's people threatened Chelsea. They threatened Chelsea. And after that, they shut up about the truth.
Okay, Curse Zero just posted fact check. Hillary Clinton served as the Secretary of State from January 21st, 2009 to February 2013. Thank you, Zero. See, I was not aware of that, but I remember that she ran against Obama in the presidential election in, what was it, 2012? And then he brought her in to his administration after the fact again.
They both ran in 08. Now,
yeah.
The thing is, there's a backdoor, there's a deal at, how do you say it? At one of these rich events, we call it the, where there's a deal where she agreed to back down, make it look like she backed out. No, it was a deal. A deal was made between her and Obama, where she would pretend to drop out so he could win. She comes in as Secretary of State. See, they had a 20-year deal. He served 2 terms. She served 2 terms. Well,
she didn't win those 2 terms.
Obama did 2 terms. Hillary was going to run and do her shit. Too late, bitch, you lost.
Yeah. I mean, they tried, but
they wanted a 20-year Democrat dominance. Well, I'm sorry. So Trump won the first term. Biden won in 2020. Yeah, it was kind of a weird shit, but the thing is, it's been crazy ever since. You know, I mean, you know, but we've done so many. We've done regime changes. We've done invasions for minerals and shit. Like, dude, was it 2024? Was it September, October of 24? Hurricane Helene happened, right?
Yeah.
Now, what was after that, right? Governor said, no, we're not going to rebuild. Dude, you had over 3,000. I'm like, why? You had over 3,000 people.
Just like in Hawaii, just like in California.
And the thing is, I mean, there are more lives lost that day than 9/11.
Yeah.
And who fucked it up a little bit? FEMA. Why? They stole donations. They stole supplies. They even stole 2 trucks that had Starlink internet.
Idiots.
Why? Because they're doing the bidding of the Biden administration. Why? Because
Obama's still running the country from behind the scenes.
Yeah.
As many people would argue.
So here you got BlackRock and Vanguard. They own a company together, right?
Yes.
And what was the company? A mining company. Why? Because they filed mining rights for what? Lithium and cobalt.
Yeah.
That's why the governor said, we're not going to rebuild. Dude.
So BlackRock and Vanguard can come right in.
But here's the thing. The people in that state, they're like Texas. They're like Oklahoma. They're like Kansas, Nebraska, South Dakota, and North Dakota. They're armed. Yeah. And you think that
the government just played fuck around and find out.
Oh, yeah.
And he gonna find out.
They're going to play that song, fuck around and find out, while... Yeah. The thing is, if you come across someone's property, dude, they will blast your toes off your boots
Yeah, and that's why private property rights need to be made absolute, a allodial title. And again, that's something I've harped on Trump about before in our videos, is Trump needs to make all private property rights absolute.
And not just that, get rid of property tax.
Yeah, because if you own it, and that's one thing that would make private property absolute. Because if you don't pay your taxes, you get your property taken. But if you eliminate property tax and you make everything a allodial title, private property rights are then absolute. Nobody can take them. Okay, because the government said so. Because, we burn it down, we're not going to let you rebuild, blah, blah, blah. Get fucked, Gavin Newsom. Fucking piece of shit. But Trump definitely needs to do that. He needs to eliminate private property circumvention, eliminate property tax, and make all properties a allodial title. Period.
Now, here's what would protect yourself from the trust, LLC.
Yeah, allodial trust, LLCs that are not in your name, but in multiple party names. I would definitely suggest a lot of people look into that. It's very finite and extremely detailed, but definitely worth looking into.
And not just that, once again.
Uh-oh. He's going to show his ass.
Just in case, if the shit hits the fan and power goes out, everything goes out, this baby right here. This is a Baofeng UV5R.
Nice.
Two-way VHF, UHF, FM radio. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't need cell. Look at this. This another. This here, not the original antenna. It's a long antenna, like my dick.
Your dick is that skinny?
Oh, I wish it was.
It's a cheese wheel. Don't be afraid.
Now this here. You know what's funny about this, ladies and gentlemen? If you have a TikTok account or YouTube channel, you will see people with the radios, and they'll tell you about they're going to ban it by the end of 2025. But to tell you, they might allow you to factory unlock or change the thing, but yet they will show you how to fucking do it. You do it this way. This way. You hold the button here. Look at your phone. Things now unlocked. No shit.
Does that allow you to radio transmit as well?
Yeah.
That'd be a worthwhile investment.
It's also a ham radio as well.
Okay, so it's a transmitter and a receiver. Perfect.
Yeah.
I might have to look into that. Send me the details.
This here, this cost me $25.
Nice.
And
what's the battery life on that?
I got on eBay.
What's the battery life on the battery?
This is not the original. Let's see here. This is the smaller one that comes with it.
Okay.
And this is the big one. Okay.
So what's the battery life on the big one?
The big one, this could probably last you a very long time. It's a 7.4 volt.
Okay. Yeah, because the CBs we have, they have a battery life on average about 8 hours, and you're probably not going to be using the battery consistently. So if you have a small solar powered charger and a battery like that has a decent battery life, that could actually serve you fairly well. So that's definitely something to look into. But we're about an hour in, so we gotta go ahead and call it. I've got a bunch of shit I gotta do before I go to work. But
I want to end this. I want to end my part real quick.
Okay, end your part real quick. That's about what I was about to suggest. You just kind of jumped the gun on me, brother.
We got to be careful and definitely pay attention to
detail.
The details of Greenland, and it does look like that they don't want Trump at all. They don't want his shit. They don't want to stay.
Denmark doesn't want his shit, but Greenland seems to be on board with it. We covered that in the video. I mean, it's kind of flip floppy. There's a lot of. It's not cut and dry. It's not black and white as people would try to make it out to be. But as you said, it's definitely something we need to pay attention to.
Exactly.
And definitely need to keep Trump's feet to the fire and make sure that he doesn't overstep his bounds and get stupid about shit.
Yeah.
But on that note, we got to go ahead and put the turkey in the oven. I know we're past the holidays, but I still like turkey, damn it. So, that there is, as of right now, the Friday dessert has been canceled. Aaron is just not feeling it. Nothing between Aaron and I. He and I didn't have a falling out or anything. He and I are good. It's just he's just not feeling it. He doesn't feel that he can bring his best A game when you're presented with deadlines and whatnot. You know, he feels it's kind of forced and just dilutes the authenticity and the impact of comedy, because he's very off the cuff, very sporadic, very random, and he feels that gives the best comedy versus trying to force himself to. So he's decided to bow out. I am in talks with Tommy Bird about maybe picking it back up, but as of right now, the project is kind of in limbo. So if we don't get that relaunched, it will be Tinman TV moving to Fridays and the roundtable remaining on Saturdays, and that'll be that. Otherwise, if Tommy Bird or if somebody else decides to pick up the torch on the Friday dessert, we'll revert back to the original schedule, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. But until then, it's just going to be Tinman TV and the roundtable. And on that note, as always, share the live feed, share the retransmissions if you like what you've seen and it resonated with you. Share it with your friends. Follow us on YouTube, X, Rumble, all at Real TWRN. And check out our online store. We got the bumper stickers, we got shirts, we got hats. We've got new merch coming out this Saturday, 2 new shirts that we're fixing to launch that a lot of people are going to like and generate a lot of controversy and heat. So keep an eye out for that. And until Saturday's roundtable, this is the Tin Man with the Resistance. Thanking you as always. And thank you, Revan. And until next time, if you're watching this, you, my friends, my brothers, my sisters, are the Resistance.